So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees to our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, the last couple of classes, we have been discussing from chapter 8. After concluding the episode of Daksha Yajna, we just began uh, the pastime of Dhruva. Actually, after describing the descendants of the three daughters of Swayambhu Manu, now Maitreya begins to describe the descendants of the sons of Swayambhu Manu. So Swayambhu Manu had two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada. Since Priyavrata stayed back in the ashram of Narada Muni, so now Uttanapada returned home. So he was made the king and he continued to be the king. And after him, his children were ruling. Then like that, like that. So when Uttanapada was ruling over the entire Bhumandala, what happened is what is being under discussion now. But before that, at the very beginning of this chapter, in order to see how the things in the future are going to manifest, as a precautionary note, in the beginning, in 4-5 verses, there is a discussion about, just like here we are talking about in the previous section, the first chapter, and now also, like the descendant of Swayambhu Manu are getting married and begetting children, like that is going on. But there are some descendants of Brahma who remained as lifelong celibates. That this chapter introduces begins with that introduction. Like the four Kumaras, Narada Muni, Rubu, Hamsa, Aruni. So these are Yati, these are some of the sons who remained lifelong celibate brahmacharis. So there are one category of people who are getting married, begetting children, and following Varnashram Dharma. There are some people who remained celibate monks for the entire life, but there are some people who take shelter of adharma. So what happens to them? If somebody, even in the midst of all favorable facilities, still one knowingly or unknowingly takes the shelter of adharma, what is the ultimate destiny of that people? So in order, why it is being told like that? Because we have told in the third canto that third canto talks about the process of creation and the purpose of creation. In the beginning chapters from 5 to 20, there is an elaborate discussion about how the creation happened by Vishnu, Brahma, and others. Then from 21 to 33, the purpose of creation. Of course, there is one purpose to facilitate the enjoyment of the jiva, that is there, but that also not in a non-Vedic way. That also can be accomplished in a Vedic way. For that, Lord Kapila teaches Karma Yoga. And then, one that is done, then Jiva should endeavor to go back home back to Godhead. That is accomplished by Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So, all these four sadhanas are very nicely, elaborately described in the section of teachings of Lord Kapila. But, however, even one takes to a particular sadhana, some might be practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, some may be Jnana Yoga, some may be Ashtanga Yoga, some may be Bhakti Yoga. But while practicing that particular sadhana, there could be some obstacles that can come in the life of a sadhaka. So, what are the different set of obstacles that can come in the life of a sadhaka is being described in fourth and fifth cantos. The two cantos are dedicated to describe, to educate us that when we are practicing bhakti, what are the different difficulties that can come in our life. To start with Daksha Yajna. Daksha himself is an example of what kind of difficulties can come to us if we are only hankering for name, fame, prestige, and unable to respect, unable to recognize others' position. Then Sati, too much attachment to one's familial connections. Even though Lord Shiva warned her, she went, she has to give up her body. And then in this section, we will see Suruchi, how being insecure of her own position, hoping to get the best for her own son alone, even though he is not qualified. So when she takes the shelter of harsh speech, insulting, criticizing, and harming others, what kind of destiny that will await for such person. How Suruchi and Uttanapada went to Rune nation, that is there. And even Dhruva is also in one example that we will see today. If one has excessive material ambitions, what happens? Of course, later on Dhruva corrected it, but still. So even Dhruva himself laments that why did I ask, why did I come to the Lord with a material ambition? So like that, that is one thing. But then Uttanapada, being under the control of others, so how one has to lament for one's own uncontrollable nature. So like that, every personality in the fourth canto and fifth canto has something to teach us. Some people are teaching us in a good way, some people are teaching us in a bad way. Like Suniti and Narada Muni are teaching us in a good way how to deal with the difficulties, how to consider the insults for our own good, etc. etc. So in that way. So that's why the lineage of adharma is indicated here. What we should be careful of, because if we take shelter of adharma, ultimately we end up in repeated cycle of birth and death and going through intolerable misery in the hellish condition. So there is one point mentioned that both Adharma and Mrusha were the children of Brahma and they got married. And that is said that that is an unnatural relationship because between brother and sister, the marriage is not supposed to be so in that way. But there is also another case study in the first chapter. Daksha and Yajna and Dakshina. Yajna and Dakshina were also appeared as twins for Sage Ruchi and Akuti. So they also got married. So if this is unnatural, why that is not unnatural? Like that, there is a question. So the reason is the Lord is actually unborn Lord. Even when Lord appears, he does not appear like us. He makes his appearance by appearing in a mystic way. So even though when we have case studies like Vamana and Lord Krishna, even though he is in the womb of the mother, but his appearance is he disappears in the womb and he makes his presence in front of the parents in four-handed Chaturbuja form. He never appears as a normal ordinary Shishu. Both Vamana and our Vamana, Krishna, Prutu Archi, Yajna Dakshina. All these are examples. Though they appear simultaneously, but they appear just like that from nowhere. Even though they may be there in the womb of the mother for some time, but the womb disappears and they make appearance in front of their eye, in front of the eyes of the parents in fully grown Chaturbuja form. So such kind of appearance cannot be taken as a normal birth, and because they are eternally transcendental couple, so they don't have to follow our material rules and regulations. So if that is the case, the Adharma and Mrusha are also the children of Brahma. They are also highly elevated. So they also don't have to follow the rules and regulations. But these are deities and they are responsible for a particular activity. The Adharma is responsible for Adharma and Mrusha is responsible for Musha. They are all present deities of those things. But for us, at our level, because they are our supervisors, at our level, a marriage between brother and sister is unnatural. For them, it may not be so. But when it comes to us, it is not an acceptable thing. So, how are we deriving a lesson from them? From that point of view, we have to treat them. So, in that way, we have to accept it. So, we don't have to analyze too much because the heavenly peoples, their rules are beyond our rules. Our rules are different, their rules are different. So, we cannot impose our rules upon them. At the same time, we cannot take their rules upon us. Forcing them. They are doing, I can also do. Not like that. We are governed by different rules and they are governed by different rules. So like that. So now, one of the adharmic characteristic is harsh speech, Durukti. So Suruchi took shelter of Durukti. She insulted Dhruva for no reason that if you want to sit on the throne of your father, on the lap of your father, you should worship Lord Vishnu and die and take birth from my womb. So Suniti told same thing, yes, yes, yes. What Suruchi told is right actually in one sense. Because of our own wrong karmas, we are going through what we are going through now. Never ever find fault with the instrument of our karma. Just worship Lord Vishnu. For taking birth from Suruchi? No, no, no. Not for taking birth from Suruchi. But it is by worshipping Lord Vishnu only you can get the love of millions of fathers, millions of mothers, and millions of fathers. Only Lord Vishnu can award you complete satisfaction. Neither your father, who is controlled by his wife, nor me, who don't have anything to offer you, can help you in any way. It is by worshipping Lord Vishnu, your grandfather became Manu, your great grandfather became Brahma, and you can become something like them or something more than them also. So please worship Lord Vishnu. Where to worship Lord Vishnu? Forest. So Dhruva started going to forest. Then immediately Narada Muni came and he said, he was saying that, no, no, you are a small kid. You are supposed to be interested in playing. Why are you so serious about the words spoken by um, the words spoken by your stepmother so seriously? This is the time for play. You better go home and continue to play. When you become old, then you can actually do this. You can do something. So in that way, Narada Muni was trying to pacify the angry child. So this is not the right time for you to do this. So please go home and then do it. Then come back when the right time comes. So I think that is where we stopped. Um, so verse number 28 or 29, 30. So here we stopped verse number 30. Here we stopped. That understand that whatever happens in our life, it is due to our previous life's activities, and all these are given to us by the devatas who are working under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. In one sense, if you are getting something means it has the sanction of the Supreme Lord. When something has the sanction of Supreme Lord, how can you deny that? So like that, indirectly, he is trying to pacify the child Dhruva. So now we will continue from text number 31 onwards. So the process taught by your mother is very difficult even for the great sages. So how can you attain that? It is very difficult to please Lord Vishnu in this very young age. So with that intention, he is trying to pacify Dhruva. So one of you can unmute and repeat after me. Munaya padavim yasya. Hare Krishna.
मुनया पदवीं यस्य
निस्सङ्गेनोरुजं जन्मभिः
निस्सङ्गेनोर्जन्मभिः
न विदुर्मुगयतो मुगयन्तोऽपि
न विदुर्मूर्खयन्तोऽपि
तीव्रयोगा समाधिना.
तीव्रयोगो समाधिना. Shall I read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Okay.
You
Narada
don't
Muni
have.
continued. Narada Muni continued, after trying this process for many births and remaining unattached to material contamination, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of a path of God relation.
Yeah, even the great sages, even after searching for many lifetimes with complete detachment, by even coming to the platform of Samadhi and by executing severe yoga, did not understand the path to the Lord. Even others who are Jnana yogis and Ashtanga yogis, in spite of going through hardships, they could not understand the path to Supreme Lord. That means they may be meditating upon Brahman, Paramatma, and all, but meditating upon Bhagavan and attaining darshan of Bhagavan, it is not that easy for even for the yogis and jnanis, the great mumukshibis. So then you are a small boy. How it will be easy for you to attain that? So better go home and play, and then when right time comes, you can come and do the needful. So in that way. Then he says, Ato nivartatam esha.
अतो निवर्तमामे स
निर्बन्धस्तव निष्फलः
निर्बन्धस्तव निश्चलः
यतिष्यति भवान् काले
यतिष्यति भवान् काले
श्रेयसां समुपस्थिते.
श्रेयसां समुपस्थिते. Shall I read the sloka and translation, or shall I read the translation directly?
Translation only. Translation only.
For this reason, my dear boy, you should not endeavor for this. It will not be successful. It is better that you go home. When you are grown up, by the mercy of the Lord, you will get a chance for these mystic performances. At that time, you may execute this function.
So he says that, therefore, please give up this useless endeavor of yours. When the proper time comes, when you are older, you can attempt this. So now you are a small boy of 5 years old. It is very difficult for you to go through the hardships of tapasya. You go home, and when you become sufficiently old, Shreyasam Kale, that means when you get older, when the time is suitable for you to practice tapasya, meditation, and all, that time you can come again to the forest, and then you will have darshan of Lord Vishnu. Till then, just ignore whatever happened. So Dhruva might say that, how can I ignore? And I can't ignore. Then he says, how, by what kind of philosophical understanding one should ignore such kind of insults? Yasya yaddaiva vihitam
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam
tatena sukha dukkhayo
तेन सुख दुःखयो
atmanam toshayan dehi
आत्मानं तोषयन् देहि
tamasa paramarchati.
तमसा पारमृच्छति. Translation: one should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that means whatever comes, one should be satisfied with that. Such a person very easily overcome the dualities of material world. So this is one point which Narada Muni is trying to impress upon Dhruva. He says, satisfying oneself in the midst of happiness and distress with these experiences which are given to one by one's own karma, the embodied soul surpasses samsara. How to get out of this material existence? When dualities come, one should tolerate and move on. Because when good comes or bad comes, one should simply accept it as the result of one's own past karmas. If one is anchoring for the removal of bad and anchoring for the attainment of more good, one is bound in this material world. One should be satisfied in happiness or distress, thinking that by experiencing happiness, one's pious acts are being exhausted. Whatever pious activities I have done in the previous lives and this life, as a result of that, I am getting the respect and recognition, all these things. So let me have it. Let me accept it. That's all. Not hankering for more, but just let me accept it, so that all the pious traits are completed, exhausted. And by suffering, one's sinful acts are being exhausted. So if once both piety and sin both are exhausted, then one is ready to go back home, back to Godhead. This should be the understanding one should have. Bhogena punyam, kushalena papam. By bhoga, one will exhaust punya. By kushala means by austerities, by tolerance, one will exhaust one's papa. So like that. So Dhruva is being told by Narada that, see, whatever has come, it is the result of your past sinful activities. So by getting it, by accepting it, the papa is gone. So you are free from papa. So like that, if you continue to stay in this world like that, by the end of your life, you will have zero credits of papa or punya. Then one is qualified to go back on background for one as bhakti. So something like that. So this is the general philosophy that we see in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita also. In the fifth chapter, sixth chapter, fourth chapter, throughout the Bhagavad Gita. So one should be unaffected by the dualities of this material world. Fame, criticism, jaya, jaya, labha, labho, etc., etc. Those people are qualified to transcend the three modes of material nature. So in that way. So then, now the question is that, so how, I mean, now you're telling that we should, okay, the good and bad we may tolerate. Then what about the people who are doing good to us and who are doing bad to us? How do we take care of them? How do we tolerate them? So that could be a question. Then the answer is given in the next verse. Gunadikan mudam lipsed
गुणाधिकान् मुदं
गुणाधिकान् मुदं लिप्सितेत्
anukrosham gunadamat
अनुक्रोशं गुणाधमात्
maitrim sorry maitrim samanadanvichan
मैत्रीं समानादन्विच्छन्
natapairabhibhuyate.
नतापैरभिभूयते. Translation: Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than him, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by threefold miseries of this material world. Hare Krishna.
So the previous verse talks about how to deal with duality conditions, how to deal with happiness and misery, praise and infamy. And this verse talks about how to deal with the people in front of us. Gunadikam mudam lipset. One should rejoice on meeting a person more qualified than oneself. Whenever we see any person who is more qualified than us in any field, in age, in knowledge, in education, in any way, if somebody is superior to us in all respects, one should be satisfied to be in their presence. One should be happy to be in their presence. Then, Anukrosham Gunadamat. One should feel compassion on meeting a person less qualified. When we are in the company of someone who is less than that, we should always be compassionate to show mercy upon them. And finally, the more important is Maitrim Samana Danvichan. One should be friendly on meeting a person of equal qualification. So when we are in the presence of somebody who is equal to us, we should be friendly with them. If one can do all these three, one is not, such a person should not succumb to any difficulties. There will be no difficulties in this world. Na tapair abhibhuyate. Because we only have people one of these three categories only. Somebody may be superior, somebody may be inferior, some may be equal. There is no one other than these three categories. The only fourth category is Supreme Lord. So while in this world, when we are in the association of these three people, so how should treat them? It may be very difficult. So it is not as easy as we read. It is very difficult because we ourselves have our own conditionings. Just like others have their conditionings, we also have our own conditionings. So this verse is almost similar to the verse spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Shastakam. So wherein he says that Trinadapi Sunichena Amanina Manatena Tarorapi Saishna Amanina Matenana Kirtaniya Sadahari. So there, how one should be tolerant in the odd circumstances while in this world. Same thing we can see here. So we should be in this world. Actually, when we see someone superior to us, we feel jealousy. How can he be superior? I should be superior. Somebody who is inferior, we want to exploit them. And somebody who is equal, we want that they should be glorifying us. Something like that. Instead, Narada says, one should feel joyful on meeting a superior person and not envy them. We should never feel envy towards any superior person because our envy will destroy us only eventually. One should feel compassion, not contempt on meeting an inferior, not with the mentality to exploit them. One should feel friendship to an equal and not to be competitive. If if we have these three qualities, we are succumb to death. If we have these three qualities, we attain perfection. But it is very difficult to give up these three. These are by default. Janmataha, by birth, we may have all these qualities. Envious of superiors, and exploitative toward the inferiors and competitive toward the equals. But giving these three qualities and developing these three qualities will help us in long run. If because of one's faults and one does not attain superior persons, then one should desire to attain them. Somehow or other, because of our unfortunate situation, if we are not in the association of good people, we should always pray for the association of superior people. Because from superior people, we can learn so many good things. So in that way. So this is how in the last section from 24 to 34. So Narada Muni, by giving various instructions, trying to pacify Dhruva and trying to tell him that better you go home now and come back when right time come. That time you can worship the Lord. This is very difficult to. This time it is very difficult to worship the Lord for you being 5 years old child. It's like that. So you are able to follow Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Following.
Someone raised their hand. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you hear me? Prabhuji, what do you mean exactly by compassion? Giving to the person who are less qualified or little bit means how do we take it like?
Okay. See, there are two aspects of showing compassion. The one is we can take it in spiritual context. Other one we can take it in normal, the worldly context also. In spiritual context, the superiors means whom we look up to, the Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus and all. So obviously we have respect for them. And inferior means those who just started bhakti or who are about to start bhakti or yet to start bhakti. So what should be compassion? That is also easy because we try to give them some prasadam, try to give them some book and try to invite them for some program. So that way it can be done. And with equals, with all our co-devotees, so we should be friendly with them. So in the spiritual context, we can take it like that. Even in the worldly context also, so mostly when we see in the worldly context, we may see all these this thing. In the spiritual context, we may not have so much problem with the superior and inferior. With the equals only, we may have some problems always. So there is always conflict with equals only among the devotee association. But in the worldly context, there is a problem with every level. For superiors, we are envious. Why you superior? Why I should not be? Equals, so there's a competition who will become superior first. And with the inferiors, here compassion means, of course, you cannot say that it is a wrong thing and all. But at the same time, just because somebody is subordinate to us, we don't have any right to exploit them completely. Of course, somebody is subordinate because of their own current qualification, whatever it is, and they should be respected further. They should be treated respectfully for what they are. So something like that. And both from material worldly aspects and from spiritual aspect, they should be helped in all aspects for their upbringing, for their growth in their respective area. If they are devotees, help them. We have the right, we have the responsibility to help them progress spiritually. In the worldly context also, we should help them progress in that respect. So that way we can take it as compassion.
Yes, Prabhuji.
One simple thing I'll tell you. This is, I think, in one of the recently in one of the classes we have been discussing about this. So whatever we have, it may be due to our good fortune. And whatever we have, by sharing with the needy, we increase. Normally, the worldly calculation is, if you have something, if you share it with others, it will decrease. Some simple example, you have 1,000 rupees. If you share with somebody 500 rupees, you will have only 500 rupees in a worldly context. But from the Shastra point of view, whatever is ours, which we obtained by hard earning, if we share with others, actually it increases by 10 times. Externally, it may appear to be reducing, but actually, from the divine calculation point of view, it actually increases by 10 times. If it is actually given to a deserving needy person. So whether it may be in terms of giving charity of articles, giving charity of knowledge, giving charity of wealth, and giving charity of opportunity, or anything. So in all aspects, if one does selflessly without considering what will happen, and selflessly if one does, it actually increases 10 times. That is where the divine calculation. So that's why it is said that whoever has something should always keep distributing it. That distribution will increase. The knowledge increases the more we distribute. The wealth increases the more we distribute. The anything else in that context. But make sure while doing that, for whom we are giving, they should be deserving. That one thing should be careful. So in that way.
Yes, Prabhuji, got it.
Mhm.
In our most of the lives, means the lifespan, uh, see, we are doing devotional service, we meet devotees, we respect everyone. But our most of the life goes with the worldly people around. So this point is becoming so difficult, means sometimes really we are envious or jealous of the person who are less qualified, but they are more in this. Or even for the people who are low, but then because of their behavior, we don't take it into, our respect them or all these things. So
Mhm.
we have means it is we stuck in between that we are so dual nature. With devotees we behave differently, and with material people we behave differently. So that dual nature sometimes makes the mind very this thing, Prabhuji, ki why we are not respecting the other material part and all these things.
Yeah, that is true. What can be done? Many times we imitate how the world acts, acts around us. We try to imitate, and accordingly we try to behave. When we are in the midst of devotees, we try to imitate the other devotees. When we are in the midst of common people, we try to imitate them. So, in one sense, that is natural. That is what is expected also. But Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us something beyond these two. The problem is, in the Bhagavad Gita also, just now we mentioned that second chapter, fourth, fifth, sixth, it always talks about a rise beyond the dualities of this material world. But that is not so easy as we just read and hear. It's very difficult because whatever we do, everything is in relation to this world. It is as per the norms of this world. But if we want to go to spiritual world, we have to behave as per the norms of the spiritual world. What is expected for a person who want to be in the spiritual world? That kind of behavior one should adopt while being here. Then only one will be able to go there. If one want to be here in the material world, it is good enough to follow the norms of the material world. There is no issue. So for that, we should also understand what are the norms of the spiritual world. We should actually hear again and again. We should understand, and we try to implement. So that is called training. That is called sadhana. Like today in the class, Maharaj also was telling the same thing. Pranadapi Sunnichena Tarudapi Seshnamani Namanadena Kirtine Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaya Mama Janmani Janmaneshwara Bhavatar Bhaktir Hetukitvai. These are the norms of spiritual world. But to follow the spiritual norms in the material world, in the materialistic people, is very difficult. They'll treat us like a insane. But that is, if for a person who want to go back to spiritual world, that is what is expected. So where to do, how to do, it's up to the individual, because every individual is a different person. So one need to do the needful according to the time, place, circumstances. Yeah, today it will be difficult, but we should keep these things in mind, and slowly we should gradually implement. We should gradually follow. Then only one can become qualified to go back to the world.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It was very, very perfect answer. Thank you.
So somebody else raised their hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, this verse is speaking about a Uttamadhikari. And being
No,
a Kanishta
we can take it like that also. Otherwise, in a normal context also we can deal, because Narada Muni is speaking to Dhruva, who is a Kshatriya, who is supposed to be the ruler of this world. From that point of view also we should take it.
So what my question is, being a Kanishta Adhikari and trying to imitate a Uttama Adhikari, how much it is really feasible actually, Prabhuji? Suppose being a
No.
Kanishta Adhikari, suppose sometime having little misunderstanding along with a Kanishta Adhikari. So better to stay apart so that he will be peace and we will be peace. And if you too much still trying to make friendship, that keep on going, and that disturbs a lot actually.
No, the verse does not talk about Uttamadhikari. The verse talks about Madhyamadhikari. In Nectar of Devotion, a Madhyabadhikari defined like this. Uttamadhikari does not have any distinctions. For a Uttamadhikari, he is the
Everybody
lowest
same.
one, everyone else is superior to him only. He only has superior person. He does not have any equal and any inferior. But for Madhyamadhikari, he has all these stages. Ishvareshu Tadadineshu Balisheshu Dvishastusha Prema Maitri Krupa Upeksha. So for Ishvara, Prema. Tadadineshu Maitri. Balisheshu Krupa. Dvishastu Upeksha. That is the way a Madhyamadhikari deals while in this world. So in one sense, this verse also talks about the similar natures.
So still Kanishta Adhikari is trying to imitate externally, trying to imitate a Madhyamadhikari.
Even for a Kanishta Adhikari also, these three can be there. For a Kanishta Adhikari, there is someone superior, someone equal, someone inferior also. In one sense, at every condition in the worldly scenario, this verse is applicable. We cannot say that Kanishta means I am the least person, there is no one below me. So that is at least in a good, reasonable condition, that will not happen. At least in the worst case, no one can say that I am the least, because at least in age, there will be some people who is inferior to us. If somebody
Now,
is 5 years old means...
equal, Prabhuji? What about with equal person, but same?
Equal, it is a constant fight. It is very difficult. It is not that easy to come out. We have to continue to fight only. So that will continue to happen. But slowly, as time progresses, we understand that we should not fight, and we understand that we should make friends with everyone. It takes time. For millions of lifetimes, we have been leading a competitive materialistic life. Right now, we are trying to become devotees. So to get the complete transition, it will take some good amount of time or effort.
Yeah. Thank you,
Mm.
sir.
So there was one thing, I think in the 7th canto where we were doing in the 7th Saturday evenings. So there was a discussion about Prahlad Maharaj was talking to his classmates. So we classmates are saying that we are asuras. So what kind of possibility is there for us to practice bhakti? You are telling that even we can practice bhakti. We are from in the mode of goodness, ignorance. How can we practice bhakti and all? So Prahlad Maharaj says that there are two ways. Wherever one is, one can either gradually progress or can instantly progress. If one only takes up bhakti slowly, one takes a lot of time to progress gradually. But if one puts intense endeavor, one can quickly progress. Tivraya mad bhaktya. So if one practices bhakti with tivra, with intensity, strong intensity, there can be fast progress. So which one we want to take, it is up to us. See, for everything, there is a X amount of endeavor is required. But that X amount of endeavor, like for example, 1000 units of endeavor is required. Whether we want to put 1000 units of endeavor for 1000 days by putting 1 unit of endeavor every day, or one want to do it for 100 days by putting 10 units of endeavor, or one want to do in 10 days by putting 100 units of endeavor every day, or one want to do in 1 day by putting 1000 units of endeavor. So like that we should see. It may not be a proper example, but just to help us understand this thing, we can see this like this. Of course, the same thing Dhruva follows. Even in Dhruva case, also same thing happened. What others cannot do, Dhruva did within 6 months. That means the severity of hardships he went through, which other people cannot follow. That means huge endeavor he did in 6 months. So he had darshan of the Lord. Even this little endeavor, one has to continue for hundreds of years. So endeavor is required. Whether we want to do that endeavor in small time or long time, it is up to the individual choice.
Yes, Professor. Thank you so much.
Dhruva Uvacha
Dhruva Uvacha
Soyam Samo Bhagavata
Soyam Shamo Bhagavata
Sukha Dukkha Hatatmanam
Sukha Dukkha Hatatmanam
Darshita Kripaya Pumsham
Darshitah Kripaya Pumsam
Durdarsho Asmad Vidadestuya.
Durdarsho Asmad Vidhaistuya. Translation. Dhruv Maharaj said, My dear Lord Narada ji, for a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart.
So now, very gently, Dhruva actually denies what Narada Muni says. Not gently, in one sense, we can also say gentleness mixed with some aggressiveness. Both are there. Dhruva says, this peacefulness of mind which you are talking, which you have shown by causeless mercy, for persons afflicted by happiness and distress, is difficult for a person like me to understand. Yeah, you have been talking about that the happiness and distress are due to one's own bad karma. So one should tolerate and one should treat both happiness and equals as the result of one's own past activities. One should treat equals seniors and juniors in a particular way. So all these things does not seem to be attractive to me. Very difficult for a person like me to understand all such instructions on peacefulness. Why? Then now Dhruva gives the actual reason. Atamite अतापि मे विनीतस्य
तथापि मे विनीतस्य
शास्त्रं घोरम् उपेयुषः
शास्त्रं घोरम् उपेयुष
सुरुचा दुर्वचो बाणैर्
सुरुच्या दुर्वसो बाणे
नाभिन्ने श्रयते हृदि
na bhinne shrayate hridhi. Translation: My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions, but this is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My stepmother, Suruchi, has pierced my head with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instruction does not stand in my heart.
So Dhruva is thinking that, oh Narada Muni, you might be anticipating that till date, whomsoever I gave some instructions, everyone followed and no one objected. How can you, a small boy, can object my instructions? Like that, you may think. So, anticipating such kind of words from Narada, before Narada Muni could say anything, Dhruva says, since I am an unsubmissive because of having an intolerant Kshatriya spirit, my dear Narada Muni, till now you must have met many people and everyone behaved or dealt with you in a submissive way. They listened what you said, they did what you said, but somehow I am in unsubmissive because of my intolerant Kshatriya spirit. As a result of that, your instructions do not remain in my heart, which has been pierced by the arrows of Suruchi's harsh words. Till now, you have been met many people whose hearts are like properly well furnished pot. So whatever instructions of water you poured, they remained as it is. But today, somehow, my heart was broken at the bottom by the arrow of the sharp words of Suruchi. Suruchir Durvacho Banir, Wag Banir. The arrow of the bad words had created a dent or a hole in the part of my heart. So, whatever instructions you pour in my heart, they are simply leaking away. None of those instructions are staying in my heart. So, I'm sorry. That is because of my Kshatriya spirit. A Brahmana boy may be tolerant of all these dualities. So, their heart may not be pierced by the strong words of somebody. So, they can be happy by hearing the peaceful word that you are speaking. Though you have given this nectar of peacefulness out of mercy to an unqualified person like me, since I have the nature of a Kshatriya, my heart has been pierced, and it is like a broken pot. Therefore, your instructions do not stay there. So, like that, he says. Then, with irony, Dhruva says, matlab, with irony, Dhruva means Dhruva with the Kshatriya temperament, he says that let the weak, cowardly Brahmanas drink the nectar of your instructions and peacefulness. Since I am Kshatriya prince with fierce bravery, I cannot even glance on this instruction. Like last class also I just mentioned, the distinction between the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas is the principal distinction from external behavior. The Brahmanas can tolerate so much verbal insults, verbal criticism, but they cannot tolerate physical pain. On the other hand, Kshatriyas can tolerate so much physical pain, but they cannot tolerate even a single verbal insult. These two are two different personalities made with different mentalities only. We also said one example of Karna and Parashurama. So Karna came to Parashurama saying that I'm from Brahmana community, I want to learn. So Parashurama taught everything. One day Parashurama while sleeping, one insect came and pricking the thighs of Karna. So he was blood is coming out. The blood touched Parashurama. Parashurama got up and he said, hey, you introduced yourself as a Brahmana and joined in my school, but a Brahmana cannot tolerate so much physical pain. Since you have tolerated so much physical pain means Your blood is a Kshatriya blood. Your blood is not a Brahmana blood. Why you did to cheat? Because you learnt education by cheating. That education will not help you at the crucial time. That's over. On the other hand, Bhishma, even his whole body pierced by so many arrows, he still survived about 2 months lying on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But the Kshatriyas cannot tolerate even a small word of insults. The same Bhishma, because Satyavati's father told that if my daughter has to marry your father, my daughter's children should become um, the future kings. Then Bhishma told, no problem. I will not be the king. Your daughter's children also will only become the kings. Then what is the guarantee that you may saying like this, but your children may oppose? Then he said, I will not marry only. Matlab, and he followed it for the entire life. For them, they cannot tolerate any criticism from anybody, any disrespect from anybody. That is the nature of Kshatriyas. Of course, like that, there are so many instances in the entire Mahabharata, Ramayana also. So when the one Kshatriya want to exert other Kshatriya, they would hurl a word of insult. Then they become angry and they start fighting. Even Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, "Oh, my dear Arjuna, you want to leave away begging, but your friends, your Kaurava friends, I mean other army, opposite army, they never glorify your behavior. They will say that Arjuna is a cowherd. He has no strength to fight. That's why he fled away in the name of becoming sannyasi, something like that. But when you hear those words, will you keep quiet? You will raise your bow and arrow and come back and fight. So better fight instead of going to forest and come back. So something like that. So the both personalities are completely different. That's why Dhruva says, whatever instructions you are giving, they may be pleasing to a Brahmana person, but not for a Kshatriya person, especially a person like me who has strong Kshatriya temperament. So please, if at all you want to help me in a positive way, please help me in this way. You help me in the fulfillment of my desire. That's what Dhruva says in the next verse. Padam Tribhuvanotkrustam
Padam Tribhuvanotkrishtam
Jigisho Sadhu Vartmame
Vijesho Sadhivatmane
Brui Asmat Pitrubhe Brahman
Brevasmat Pitrabhi Brahman
Anyairapi Adishtitam.
Nairapi Adhit Anadishtritam.
Oh, sorry.
Translation. O land Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, even by my fathers and grandfathers. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life.
Dhruva says, oh, my dear Brahmana, if you want to help me in any way, please help me in this regard. What is that? Please tell the correct method for me. Bruhi sadhu vartmame. Vartma means the sadhana. Sadhu vartma means a bona fide sadhana. Please teach me a bona fide sadhana for a person who has a desire to attain the best position, the three worlds. Three bhuvana utkrishtam padam jigisho. In order to attain in the three planetary systems of the universe, which has not been attained anadishtitam by my forefathers or others. My father is the king of Bhumandala now. Before that, my grandfather was the king as well as he was Manu also. My great grandfather became Brahma. I want to attain something which was not attained by my forefathers. That means my father, my grandfather, as well as other children of Brahma also. Annerapi, even others who have not attained it. But till from the beginning of the creation till now, what people attained within the universe, I don't want to attain that. I want to attain something that which no one attained till now. I want to be something unique. Please help me in this regard. Then Nardumuni might have asked a question. Then what do you want? If you don't want the instruction and peacefulness, then what do you want? Please tell me the correct method for attaining a position unattained by my father Uttanapada, who insulted me, by his father Manu, by his father Brahma, and by Brahma's other sons and grandsons. Teaching me that path alone, you will see my courage in attaining that in no time. If you teach me something like that, then you will see my Kshatriya spirit. I'll show you attaining that in no time. So, like that, Dhruva kind of very confidently tells that you tell me the path, I'll practice and show you. In no time, I'll attain it. Not a ordinary thing. That which is not attained by my father, grandfather, great grandfather, and other sons of my great grandfather, and other their sons and their sons. That means till now no one had attained it, and I will attain and show you to you. This is the desire Dhruva had. And Dhruva tells Narada Muni, you show me the path, I'll attain it and show you to you in no time, not like life after life. This is the confidence that Dhruva had being a Kshatriya boy. Then Dhruva further says, Nunam Bhavan Bhagavato
Nunam Bhavan Bhagavato
Yo Angaja Parameshtina
Yo Gajah Parameshtina
Vitudan Atate Vinam
Vitutam Atate Vinam
Hitaya Jagatorkavat.
Hitaya Tor Tava. My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instruments, Veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun, which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living entities, living beings.
So you, the son of Brahma, playing a veena, travel like the sun for the welfare of the entire world. All of us know that you keep traveling everywhere playing on your veena only just to help others. You don't have any other business to get something from others. Instead, you only have one thing to do to help others. If that is your nature, please help me to attain this. My meeting with you should not go in vain. So like that Dhruva is indicating. Let my desire be fulfilled. Seeing you after leaving my house is the cause of this. Because I had a desire to attain this. Padam Tribhuvanotkrishtam. So that is the reason I left home and came to the forest. And somehow by good fortune I met you. My meeting with you should not go in vain. Instead, it should help the fulfillment of my desire. Born from the lap of Brahma, Ankaja, Narada Muni was born from the lap of Brahma. You are an avatar of this Lord. Narada Muni is also a Shakti Avesha avatar of the Lord. Narada Muni is endowed with Bhakti Shakti. Just like the four Kumaras are endowed with Jnana Shakti and Yoga Shakti, Narada Muni is endowed with Bhakti Shakti. Parashurama is endowed with Dushtanashana Shakti. Shesha is endowed with Bodharana Shakti. So like that. You are an avatar of the Lord and are not the son of anyone. And you are not a ordinary person here and there. You are directly the son of Brahma. Even you cannot be called as a direct son of Brahma. You appeared from the lap of Brahma. So we can also call him a son of Brahma, but in one sense, he is also not son of Brahma also. And you are also an avatar of the Supreme Lord. So thus, you are not a son of anybody material in the world. You are completely transcendental. So your meeting with me should not go in vain. Since it is your nature to help everyone, please help me. Another version is Angaja, son of Brahma. Though you are a Brahma's son, you wander about playing the veena for the benefit of the entire world. So if you are traveling everywhere for the benefit of the entire world, so please show me by helping me. Show me your nature of helping others by helping me. So something like that. So he kind of puts Narada Muni in a checkmate condition. Now Narada responds. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha
Iti udahritamakarnya
Iti Udahritamakarnya
Bhagavan Naradastada
Bhavan Naradastada
Pritaha Pratyahatam Balam
Pritaha Pratyahatam Balam
Sadvakyam Anukampaya.
Sadvakyam Anukampaya. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate toward him. And in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice.
The great sage Narada, upon hearing the words of Dhruva and being pleased with the boy, out of causeless mercy, gave him good instructions at that time. Of course, Narada Muni is always eager to help others. Since Dhruva is also eager to receive the help, so he became very happy and trying to help Dhruva. But Narada's help is both way. He helped for the fulfillment of the desire of Dhruva, and also he helped Dhruva indirectly for the attainment of Krishna Prema also. That's how intelligently Narada Muni helped Dhruva. Narada Uvacha.
Narada Uvacha
Janana Bihita Panta
Jananyabhiti Hita Panta
Savai Nishreyasasya Se
Savai Nisreyasasyate
Bhagavan Vasudevastam
Bhagavan Vasudevastam
Bhajatam Pravanatmana.
Bhajatam. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instructions given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotion service to Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotion service of the Lord.
The highest path described by your mother, Jananya Abhita, is the path I recommend. I have nothing new to recommend you. Whatever your mother told, that is what I recommend. The Lord is Vasudeva. Worship him with concentrated mind. Bhagavan Vasudevaha. Please worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is known as Vasudeva with complete concentration of your mind. Pravana Atmana. So like that. The path recommended by your mother is the path I recommend. So that will make all the more convincing for Dhruva. If Narada Muni says that, okay, no, what your mother told is not correct, I'll tell you something more. Then there could be an element of doubt. So not to keep any such kind of confusions, Narada told, what your mother told is actually the right thing. Do the same thing. Now I'll teach you how to do. Your mother only told what to do, but now I will teach you how to do it. So in that way, Narada Muni's help can be understood. So for what purpose one should worship the Supreme Lord? Of course, for a devotee will say that one should worship the Supreme Lord not for material benefits, but for spiritual benefits only. But Bhagavatam also says, Akama sarvakamova mokshakamova udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Even if somebody is akama or sarvakama or mokshakama, one should perform the worship of Lord Vishnu with tivra bhakti. So the same thing now Narada says. Dharmartha kama mokshakyam
Dharmartha kama mokhyakhyam
yaiche shreya atmanah
jayet shreyatmanaha
ekam hi eva haristatra
ekam heva haristatra
karanam padasevanam.
karanam padasevanam. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, so religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and the end liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these.
As we study from the first canto of Bhagavatam, Atapambirdi Yashreshta Varnashrama Vivagacha Swanushtitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. According to one's Varnashrama duties, accomplishment of the fruits of Varnashrama, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, are achieved by worshipping Lord Vishnu or by the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. Same thing Narada Muni tells here. If one desires as the goals of life Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they should worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and that is the only method to achieve the accomplishment of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So Narada Muni does not start with Krishna Prema and all, because currently Dhruva Maharaj's heart is burning with a desire to get something which is not attained by anybody in this world. So that is the principle of Artha. Like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, there are 4 kinds of devotees who come to Supreme Lord. Chaturvida bhajanti mam jana sukriti no arjuna arto jignasur arthati jnani cha bharatarshaba. These sukritis, the first category is artho, who are in distressful condition. They come to the Lord to get relief from the distress. Jignasu, those who want to know what is the spirituality, bhakti, Bhagavan, all these things, what are they? Because they have jignasa but they don't have knowledge. Artharthi, those who are in need of money, they want some money, some wealth, some help, they come. And Jnani, so they don't have any material motives, they are already in knowledge of what Bhagavan is all about. They just want to serve the Lord in that knowledge. They want to analyze more and more the knowledge of the Lord, the understanding of the Lord, and then serve the Lord. So there are 4 category of people who come to Supreme Lord. Acharya has given example that Artho, the example of Artha is, who was in distress is Gajendra. Gajendra was surrendered to Lord because he was in distress, fighting with the crocodile for 1000 years. Jignasu, the sages of Naimisharanya, who have been hearing from Roma, Harshansuta and various personalities from different Puranas and different literatures. But when Ugrashrava Sutta came, now they became inquisitive to know about the Supreme Lord. Till now, they have been hearing about so many worldly matters. They said, enough is enough. We have been hearing so much. We have been performing yajna for so long. But now, we have developed a desire to hear about the Supreme Lord. Please speak about why Lord Krishna appeared from the womb of Devaki. What are the other activities that Lord Krishna performed? What are the activities that were performed by different avatars of Supreme Lord? And how in the age of Kali Yuga, which is completely filled with dense darkness, because Lord Krishna, while departing, he took away with him Dharma, Jnana, Aishwarya, Bhakti, all these things he has taken along with him, where the people of Kali Yuga can find Dharma and shelter for their spiritual progress. So we want to know about all these things. We want to hear about the Lord. We want to hear about Bhakti. What is the most beneficial thing for all? What is the essence of all the Shastras, hearing which, following which, one's Atma is completely satisfied? So such kind of question they ask. They indicate that now they are at the platform of Jignasa, that they want to know about the Supreme Lord. They don't know so much, so they want to know it properly. And Artharthi, the example given is Dhruva. So Dhruva is approaching Supreme Lord. with a desire to get something superior to everyone, which is not obtained by anyone till now. So like that. And finally, the Jnani, the example for Jnani were four Kumaras. They know about the absolute truth as a Brahman feature. They also heard about Bhagavan feature, but they want to get the real understanding of what they have heard. Theoretical understanding they have, but they want to have the practical realization. With that practical realization, they were very eager to go to Vaikuntha and have darshan of the Supreme Lord. Unless until when we see what we are hearing, we will not have complete conviction. So the Kumaras are eager to go to Vaikuntha and have darshan of Supreme Lord. In that eagerness, they also cursed Jaya Vijaya, who are trying to stop them not to see the Lord. So like that. So they are example of So it is like that. So now, if at all anybody has anything to attain Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, better to worship the Supreme Lord. That is the best method one can think of in this real world. All Shastra proclaim that. Your mother also told about it, and I am also recommending the same thing. Okay, fine. If I have to worship Supreme Lord, where to worship and how to worship? Please tell me. So now Narada tells. Tattat gaccha badram te
तत्तातगच्छं भद्रं ते
yamunaya tatam suchi
यमुनायाः तटं शुचि
punyam madhuvanam yatra
पुण्यं मधुवनं यत्र
sannidhyam nityada hare.
सान्निध्यं नित्यदा हरेः. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there.
Oh child, good fortune to you. Go to pure Madhuvana and the bank of river Yamuna, where the Lord resides eternally. So you want to worship Lord Vishnu? So you can do it nicely in Madhuvan on the bank of Yamuna river, where the Supreme Lord resides eternally. This is like Madhura Mandal. Narada begins to describe in detail the process of worshipping the Supreme Lord. He mentions Madhuvan because it is the chief of all holy places. Now, the capital city of Uttanapada and his father Swayambhuva Manu is, that time it was known as Brahmavarta, and today that place is known as Bittur. It is located on the bank of Ganga, very near to Kanpur today. From Kanpur, about 20-30 kilometers away, we can locate this city, Bittur. That was the capital of Uttanapada. From there, Dhruva Maharaj was going into forest. In the forest, Narada Muni met him, and Narada Muni told him to go to Madhuvan. So Madhuvan means like Vrindavan, Madhura Mandal, so which may not be so far from Kanpur area. So that much Dhruva can walk and go. So in that way we can see. Then you go to Madhuvan. Madhuvan is located on the bank of Yamuna river, which is very pure. There because Lord resides there eternally, you can very easily worship the Supreme Lord very nicely there. So how to worship the Lord? Snatvanushavanam tasmin
स्ना स्नात्वानुसवनं तस्मिन्
kalindya salile shive
कालिन्द्यासलिले शिवे
krutvochitan nivasan
वृत्तोचितानि निवसन्
atmana kalpitasana.
आत्मनः कल्पितासनः. Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana in a calm and quiet position.
After bathing in the auspicious waters of Yamuna, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening, you should perform necessary prayers to Supreme Lord. So worship the Supreme Lord by offering prayers. Then making an asana, sit upon it. Because this is Satya Yuga, the process generally people follow was dhyana. Of course, other processes are there. Harinama chanting is there, deity worship is there, but the principal activity is dhyana. All other things are like assisting things. Uchitani means offering suitable respects to the deity. He should do this even though he has not undergone the study of the Vedas. Now, Dhruva is just 5 years old. He did not even go to Gurukul after Upanayana ceremony. He did not even study the Vedas. He did not do anything. But still, Narada is telling, even though you have not gone to Gurukula, not understood anything, not studied anything, but still, whatever little you know, whatever you must have seen your mother doing, your father doing the worshiping of the deity, following in that way, you should worship the Supreme Lord and offer prayers, whatever prayers you know. And then prepare a seat and you have to perform dhyana by sitting in that place. Something like that. Pranayamena trivruta.
Pranayamena tribhuta
Pranendriyamanomalam.
pranendriyamanomalam
शनैबुधस्य विद्यायेन्
sanaividyasya vidyayet
मनसा गुरुणा गुरुम्.
manasa guruna gurum. Up, yeah. After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kind of breathing exercises. Thus gradually control the life here, the mind and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with the great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Go to Madhuvan and daily should take bath 3 times. After taking bath, you should worship the deity of the Lord by offering prayers. Then prepare a asan. There you perform dhyana. So how to perform dhyana? Between these times where one takes bath, one should perform dhyana. So giving up the impurities of the mind, senses, and life. So that means completely controlling the senses and mind, also one's breathing. By 3 types of breathing, one should gradually meditate on the Lord by the best mind. So what are the 3 kinds of breathing? Trivrit means by Rechaka, Puraka, and Kumbhaka. Guruna means the best because it has been purified. So Rechaka means exhale, hold, breathe in, inhale, hold, again exhale, hold, inhale, hold. So this process should be practiced. Rechaka is exhale, Puraka is inhale, and Kumbhaka is, I think, hold. Something like that. So one should do these 3, just thinking about them, not thinking about anything material here and there. And like that, control the mind and senses and also control your breath. Then, so now, see, though Narada Muni is indirectly talking about Ashtanga Yoga process, he does not get into each and every details. So like taking bath, worshipping the deity and offering prayers, they could be like yama niyama. And preparing a asana is asana. And then controlling the breath is pranayama. And controlling the mind and senses is pratyahara. And then there is dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So in dharana, dhyana, samadhi, one should be meditating upon the form of the Supreme Lord. In third canto, we have been elaborately discussed about all these things, 28th chapter. So in dharana, one need to meditate upon the complete form of the Lord. In dhyana, one need to meditate upon the each and every limb of the Lord. In samadhi, one's meditation should be uninterrupted. It should be continuous. In dharana, dhyana, one's meditation may be interrupted here and there. But in samadhi state, that meditation should not be interrupted at all. It is a continuous prolonged meditation upon the Supreme Lord. That is Samadhi. So now in the next verse, for Dharana Dhyana Samadhi, you should meditate upon the form of the Paramatma. So now the question is, Dhruva is a small boy, so he does not know what is the form of Paramatma. Now in the next section, for 5-6 verses, he talks about what is the beauty of the form of Paramatma. How to identify who is Paramatma. What kind of form the Paramatma possesses. That will be described now. On that form only one should meditate in Dharana Dhyana Samadhi state. So in that way. Prasadabhimukam Shashwat
प्रसादाभिमुखं शाश्वत
Prasanna Vadane Kshanam
प्रसन्नावदने क्षणम्
Sunasam Subhruvam Charu
सुनासं सुभ्रुवं चारु
Kapolam Surasundaram.
कपोलं सुरसुन्दरम्. The translation. The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and he is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods.
What are the different attributes of that form of Paramatma upon which one should meditate during Dharana Dhyana Samadhi? So now the different attributes are Prasada Abhimukam Shashwat. The Lord is always inclined to give mercy. Shashwat means always. Prasada to show mercy. Abhimukam is favorably inclined. He has a joyful face and glance. Prasanna Vadana Ikshanam. Lord's face is very joyful and his eyes are also very happy to give mercy. With graceful nose and eyebrows, Sunasam and Subhruvam. Beautiful forehead, Charu Kapolam, and is more beautiful than the Devatas, Sura Sundaram. The beauty of all the Devatas put together is the beauty of the Supreme Lord. Even much more than that. He is the beautiful among all the beautiful Devatas. So in that way. Next, further description of the beautiful form of the Paramatma. Tarunam Ramaniyangam
तरुणं रमणीयाङ्गम्
Arunostekshanadaram
अरुणोष्टेक्षणाधरम्
Pranatashrayanam Drumnam
प्रणताश्रयणं नृम्णम्
Sharanyam Karunarnavam.
Sharanyam Karunarnavam. Translation. Narada Muni continued. The Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy.
The Supreme Lord has youthful, attractive bodily limbs. Tarunam, Ramaniyam, Angam. His body limbs are very useful. Tarunam and also very beautiful. Ramaniyam. He has red lips and red eyes. Aruna, Ushta, Ikshana, Adaram. So reddish lips and reddish eyes. He is the shelter of the surrendered. Pranata, Ashrayanam. Transcendentally pleasing. From Nam. Worthy to take shelter, Sharanyam, and the ocean of mercy, Karuna Arnavam. These are other attributes of the Supreme Lord. Ostra and Adara are the upper and lower lips. Aruna, Ostra, Adara. So in that way, red lips. For men, those who do not surrender, he is the form of wealth. For all those people who want to have wealth, the Lord is the best wealth that one can possess. Sharanyam, Karunarnavam. So in that way. Pranatashrayanam Dramnam Sharanyam Karunarnavam. That is the glory of Supreme Lord. Then, What are the other attributes of this Lord? Srivastankam Ganashyamam
Shrivastangam Ghanashyamam
Purusham Vanamalinam
Purusham Vanamalinam
Shankachakra Gada Padme
Shankhachakra Gada Padmaye
Abhivyakta Chaturbhujam.
Abhivyakta Chaturbhujam. The Lord is further described as having the mark of Srivatsa or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person. He wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifest with 4 hands, which hold, beginning from the lower left hand, a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower.
The Lord is ornamented with Srivasta on his chest, has a dark complexion, his whole body is Ganashyamam, and wears a garland of forest flowers, Vanamalinam. He shows 4 arms with Shanka Chakra, Gada, Padma. Kiritinam Kundalinam
Kiritinam Kundalinam
Keyuravalayanvitam
Keyuravalayandvitam
Kaustubhabharanagrivam
Kaustubhabharana
Pita
Pita Vasasam. Translation: the entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with the Kaustuba jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments.
The Lord is ornamented with a crown and earrings, Kiritinam Kundalim, armbands and bracelets, Keyura and Valaya. He has Kaustuba jewel around his neck and wears yellow and silken cloth. Pita Kausheya Vasam. Yellow Pitambaram basically. He wears that. His neck at the Kaustuba jewel. So Srimad Bhagavatam multiple times gives all this wonderful description so that one should not have a doubt when one sees the Lord. What all Lord must be wearing? When we see the Lord, what all we should be expecting from the Lord? Everything has been in detail discussed. The same description comes in the third canto when the Lord appeared to Kardama Muni. When Lord Kapila was describing about the same form that should be meditated upon in the Ashtanga Yoga process in the 20th chapter. And later on also it comes again and again the same description comes, which indicates that Lord is not impersonal. Lord is actually personal, and his form is the most beautiful form of anything that is there. Even the 24th chapter, 4th canto, Rudra Gita, same thing comes. There also Lord Shiva describes a beautiful description about the Lord's form, upon which one should be meditating and worshipping. So like that. Further, still continuing, 2 more verses. Kanchi Kalapa Pariyastam
Kanchikalapa paryastam
Lasat Kanchana Nopuram
lasat kanchana nupuram
Darshaniyatamam Shantam
dasaniyatamam santam
Mano Nayana Vardhanam.
mano nayana vardhanam. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with the golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and mind.
Lord's waist is surrounded by a belt of small bells. He was wearing the Pitambara clothes, Pitambara dhoti, upon which there is a belt with small bells. And he wears shining golden anklets. He is pleasing to see. He is peaceful and joyful for the mind and eyes. Darshaniyadamam is the object of darshan and is completely peaceful and is joyful for the mind and eyes. For those who see him, for the onlookers and for the mind of the onlookers, he is very pleasing. He gives them joy. So in that way. And then what are the other attributes? This is the last verse which describes the beauty of the Lord. Padbyam nakamanischrenya
Padvyam
पद्भ्यां
nakamanisrenya
नख मनिश्रेण्य
vilasabhyam samarchatam
विलसभ्यां समर्च्यताम्
Hrutpadma karnika adishnyam
पद्मा कर्णिका धृष्ण्यम्
akramyatmani avasthitam.
आक्रम्यात्मनि अवतिष्ठितम्. Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the whole of the lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering.
Yeah, entering into the lotus in the heart, entering into the lotus in the heart of the devotees by his 2 feet, which shine with jewel-like nails, he becomes situated in the jiva and his intelligence. So, Narada Muni says that this form of the Lord should be placed in the heart of a devotee who want to practice the sadhana. Here, for Dhruva, it is Ashtanga Yoga sadhana. That now he has come to the platform of dharana. So, in dharana, one should be able to install the Paramatma form in the lotus of one's heart. Of course, it is already there, but one should be able to see this form with all these descriptions that are there in these particular verses. And then one should perform dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Smayamanam abhidyayet
स्मयमान अभिध्यात्
abhidhyayet
sanuragavalokanam
tanuragavalokanam
niyatyenaikabhutena
niyatenaikabhutena
manasa varadarshapam.
manasa varadarshabham. Translation. The
I will
Lord
read
is
Mataji.
all. Okay,
Okay,
okay.
okay. Please, please. One should with attachment meditate with great attention. Ekabhutena nityena manasa abhidhyayet. So, my dear Dhruva, after completing yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, now you should perform dharana, dhyana, and samadhi in sequence upon this form of Paramatma, upon this form of the Supreme Lord, who is there as Paramatma in your heart. So, witnessing his presence, establishing him in the lotus of your heart, then one should meditate with complete attachment, with great attention upon the smiling face of the Supreme Lord, the greatest benedictor who has an affectionate glance. So, which already discussed, again, Narada telling same thing. So, that Lord whose face is smiling and who is eager to award benediction to his surrendered souls and who is very much affectionately looking at his wonderful devotees, that Lord should be placed in the heart of the sadhaka and one should execute dharana and also eventually dhyana. Dharana is looking at the complete form of the Lord and meditating upon it. Dhyana is looking at each and every body limb of the Lord and meditating upon it one after the other, starting with lotus feet, going all the way up to lotus face. Evam bhagavato rupam
एवं भगवतो रूपं
subhadram dhyayato manaha
सुभद्रं ध्यायतो मनः
nivritya paraya turnam
निवृत्त्या परया तूर्णं
sampannam na nivartate.
सम्पन्नं न निवर्तते.
Then the mind of such a devotee who is who established the form of Paramatma in the core of the heart and meditating upon that form, meditating on the auspicious form of the Lord, very soon becomes filled with the highest bliss and never leaves that form. That means very soon that devotee comes to the platform of Samadhi. In Dharana, there could be disturbance. In Dhyana, there could be disturbance. But in Samadhi state, there will be no disturbance. One will be able to meditate upon the form of the Lord uninterruptedly, continuously. his mind, the mind of the yogi does not give up the object of meditation. So like that. So this is how, my dear Dhruva, you should worship the Supreme Lord. So since it is Satya Yoga, he is talking about Bhakti mixed with Ashtanga Yoga. So till now we were talking about how to execute the Ashtanga Yoga Dhyana process. Now in the next section, he will talk about how to execute Bhakti. He will teach him one mantra, that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva mantra, and he will tell him to do the chanting. While doing all these things, we should chant this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra. So all other things will be explained in the next section, which we will see in the next class. So sorry late हो गया, वैसे ही हमने class late चालू किया. So we'll stop here. Hope there are no questions and no confusion.
Hare Krishna, Sadhguru.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sadhguru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear. Maybe you adjust your device.
Hello.
Hare Krishna. No.
Oh, later, Prabhuji, I will I will
Yeah,
write in chat and
now okay. Now you continue.
I mean, Prabhuji, when we try to, at least for me, I'm speaking, very fallen Kali Yuga soul. When I try to just imagine the form of Lord, very rarely the deities can be seen. It is always some childhood film or serial where we have seen some actor enacting the role that comes in mind. What to do about it?
So that means while watching those things, we are completely absorbed. And while
Yes,
watching the deity in the temple, we are not that much absorbed. So slowly,
Yes.
we should train ourselves how to become more absorbed while looking the deity in the temple or deity's photo in the photograph and all. Of course, it takes some time. Yeah, we need to do. Otherwise, there is no. It will not happen on its own. We need to work hard for that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, that may be
Prabhuji,
true with
one question.
everyone. All of us we may not say, but it will happen. We remember so many fond memories that happened in our childhood and all other times. So very difficult to remember the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. When we see, we may say, "Ah, Lord is beautiful," but without seeing, can we envision within our heart, within our mind, within our heart? That is the challenge.
Oh, the
Yes, Mata.
challenge is remember the actor or that person who is the role. That in same form we remember. Suppose for NTR, we have seen him enacting. So form आ जाता है mind.
Because we have been so absorbed in that. While watching that, we are so absorbed. So those memories are very strongly deep rooted in our mind. So that way. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Some other Mataji was saying something.
Prabhuji, one question from the last class. In the last class, Prabhuji, there was that the shlokas where Suniti was trying to explain to Dhruva Maharaj that your mother Suruchi is wild and your father has also become wild, and so he's not caring for, or maybe he's not considering me as a wife, like that. So I mean, the words, or is that all right? Like, it is later said that we should not point out at somebody who is doing something wrong to us, like you explained from the first canto episode of Parikshit Maharaj. Like, is it correct to point out to the other person that this person is wild? I mean, the way they are acting at present. So, is it okay to point it out, or even that is wrong? But if it is there in Bhagavatam, if Suniti is explaining it to Dhruva, then can it be why? I mean, can it be wrong that okay, she is explaining that this is the nature of this particular individual, and you ignore it? So I'm slightly confused with that.
So
How
it
exactly
should
we
not be
should?
it should not be seen like that. It is not a prolonged thought process about that. Here, see, according to the situation, she might be speaking like that. That may not be a premeditated kind of remark. See now, she said that, "O son, do not find fault with others, because those who have given suffering to others previously receive the same in this life." I think the words which you said, I'm just looking for them. See, because Suniti said some words which she should not have said to Dhruva. She indirectly told that, indirectly or directly told, just if you want to sit on the lap of your father, just from casual cuddling or casual affection exchange, you have to die and take birth in my womb. So, is that a acceptable remark?
No.
So, for that remark, so our Suniti said, she is vile. Matlab, so in one sense, no one can speak like that with a child. Of course, one may speak to one's equal. So equal barabar, they also may say something, also something. So that can be, there is a thing is there. But a child who is supposed to be an object of compassion should not be spoken like that. So that is the cause for Suniti speaking like this. And she told about her husband that your father is controlled by a woman. So that is the reality. It is not that she's criticizing, that is the reality. Somehow or other, but
Yes.
otherwise he could have objected what Suniti said, what Surichi said. He could have raised Dhruva and kept him on his lap also. But he did not do, because somehow or other, because of the circumstances, he was under the control of Surichi. So what she said is only as per the situation. These are not a premeditated criticizing remarks. So like that we should
Okay.
see. Mm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Correction. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
जय